Here's a quick review for test number 3 in 376 Embedded Systems. Now, this test covers interrupts and digital filters. With interrupts, we look at timer interrupts, edge interrupts, timer when capture, timer when compare. And for digital filters, we've got Z-transforms, programming, a digital filter, and converting from the S-plane to the Z-plane. So starting out, interrupts are kind of confusing. It's a subroutine called by hardware. It's really powerful. It allows you to do several things at one time, but it's also confusing because someone else is calling subroutines in your program. Once you figure them out, though, they're really useful. We're looking at several types of interrupts. The simplest is probably the INT interrupt. This is on a rising edge or a falling edge. Call a subroutine. I can use several different pins. On the PIC, 6 different pins are available for edge interrupts. I've got the INT 0, 1, and 2 on port B. Also have the timer interrupts. I can set those up for external events by changing the source select pin to 1. And timer 0 is triggered on port A pin 4, timer 1, port C pin 0, and timer 3, port C pin 1. What I can do with INT interrupts is every time an event happens, do something. And with that, I can build a voting machine, count every rising edge, an optical encoder, count the edges as you turn a knob. The number of edges tells me how far the knob is spun. Or a frequency counter. To measure frequency, I need cycles per second. The edge interrupts can measure edges or cycles. For timer interrupts, there's kind of 2 different styles. There's timer 2 and everyone else. Timer 2, you set it up so I interrupt every n clocks, where n is a product of 3 constants, a, b, and c. A is an integer in the range of 1 to 16, b is 1 to 256, c is 1, 4, or 16. So once I specify a, b, and c, I specify n, then every n clocks, the interrupt triggers. To set up a and c, that's in timer in T2 con, a covers these 4 bits, and everything's offset by 1, so 0 means 1, 1 means 2. That way with 4 bits I get the numbers 1 through 16. C is kind of an oddball. On C, 0, 0 means 1, 0, 1 means 4, and 1, 0, 1, 1, both of these mean 16. B is a little bit easier. B is just the value of another register, PR2 plus 1. Once I have A, B, and C, I know N, and that's the number of clocks between interrupts. The harder part is going backwards. If I know N, find A, B, and C, and that's kind of trial and error guessing. Come up with something close. Subject to the constraint, these are integers within a certain range. Timers 0, 1, and 3 are a little bit different. These interrupt every n clocks, where n is a prescaler times y. The default for y is 65,536. Y is a 16-bit counter, and it's just going to count. When I get to 0, that triggers the interrupt. If I'm at 0, I'm not going to get to 0 again until I go all the way around, back to 65,536. If I want something different, I got to change it. The prescaler depends upon the interrupt. Timer 0, the prescaler can go from 1 to 256 and powers of 2. Timer 1 and 3, the prescaler can be 1, 2, 4, or 8. For example, if I want to interrupt every 10,000 clocks, I can make the prescaler 1, and then set timer 0 to minus 10,000, and 10,000 counts to get to 0. 0 triggers the interrupt. With timer interrupts, there's a couple things you can do. I could have a single timer interrupt. With that, I can measure time or generate a frequency. For example, if I want to measure time to 1 millisecond, then set n to 10,000. For timer 2, that would be a times b times c is 10,000. And one combination that works is 10 times 250 times 16. Oops, times 4. Timer 0, I could have a prescaler times y is 10,000. I could have the prescaler 1, and timer 0 is minus 10,000. I'm going to make it minus 10,000 because I count, and 10,000 counts to get to 0. I could generate a precise frequency. For example, if when I put 220 hertz, the number of clocks between interrupts is 10 million divided by 2 times hertz. 10 million because the crystal that we're using in this class has the processor running at 10 million clocks per second. For timer 2, find A, B, and C to be close to n. For multiple timer interrupts do not conflict with interrupts. What that means is I could have 4 interrupts running at the same time, all running at a different frequency, not a problem. I can also have interrupts changing interrupts. For example, do a police siren that goes dee 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 dee. I could have one interrupt every 500 milliseconds. It kicks in. That changes the second interrupt. So when it's high, I'll output 350 hertz. When it's low, I'll output 437. So I've got interrupts changing interrupts. And with that, I have a 2-tone siren. And there are other things you can do with multiple interrupts. The hardest interrupts are timer 1 capture and timer 1 compare. Timer 1 capture records the time of an event accurate to 1 clock. And there's 2 versions, capture 1, capture 2. Capture 1 captures the rising edge or falling edge on port C pin 2 and records the time of timer 1 at that time. Capture 2 captures the rising or falling edge on port C pin 1 and records the time of timer 1 on that event. And they are kind of backwards, that's just how they built it. Compare interrupts set or clear a pin at a precise time. Compare 1 will set or clear port C pin 2 when timer 1 is equal to capture 1. Compare 2 sets or clears port C pin 1 when timer 1 is equal to capture 2. What this is useful for is generating a square wave with a precise period accurate to 1 clock, or generating pulse, where the width is accurate to 1 clock. So that's kind of the interrupt section. You can expect a couple questions on interrupts. We also covered digital filters. The heart of a digital filter is the Z-transform. The Z-transform converts difference equations into algebraic equations in Z, and the operator Z means next value. So ZY means Y of k plus 1, Y1 sample in the future. What that does is that turns a difference equation into an algebraic equation in Z, and Z means next value, so this is Z squared Y, 2 samples in the future, ZY, Y, ZX, and X. So here's the difference equation and the Z-transform. The two are equivalent. The reason we like Z-transforms, well, Z-transforms can be analyzed with sine wave inputs the same way you did with the Laplace transforms. Use phasors. For example, if I have this filter and the input's a sine wave, use phasor analysis. This is the gain everywhere. All I care about is what's the gain at s equals j4. So s is j4, z is e to the st. That's the mapping from the s-plane to the z-plane. So there's z. The input is 3 minus j5. In phasors, real part's cosine minus j is sine. Here's the gain everywhere. All I care about is what's the gain at that frequency, times the input at that frequency gives a complex number. What that means is real part's cosine minus j is sine. The reason we like digital filters is they're really easy to implement. I take this digital filter, convert to a difference equation, do a time shift, so I'm looking at y of k, and this filter corresponds to this program. This is y of k is 0.9 y of k minus 1 plus 2 times x of k minus 0.8 x of k minus 1. Converted to C code, and you can kind of see how the Z-transform converts to C exactly. I don't have to do numerical integration or anything like that. I can implement it exactly. That's kind of why we like Z-transforms in coding. They're really easy to program. To design a digital filter, personally what I like doing is going from the S-plane to the Z-plane, and you convert as Z is e to the st. So here I've got a 0 and a pole in the S-plane. I've got a 0 and a pole in the Z-plane. The 0 converts as e to the st. The pole converts as e to the st. To find the gain out in front, match the gain at some frequency. So if I plug in DC, s equals 0, I get a gain. Plug in DC, in which case at DC z is 1. And z is e to the st. If s is 0, e to the 0 is 1. Z is 1 at DC. These two should have the same gain at DC, and that gives you this fudge factor. That matches the DC gain, same poles, same zeros, same DC gain, same filter. So that's kind of the topics for the exam. You can expect 5 questions, random order, no backtracking. You'll get the table of interrupts, so you don't have to memorize all those. The exam is available on Blackboard from 6 a.m. till midnight, 100-minute time limit. And with that, good luck on test number 3.